right after the transition, when the president was sworn in, we discovered that there were major threats that needed to be eliminated immediately. Otherwise, we would face some crisis. One of them was the power situation. It was a very fragile power situation. We all knew in opposition, indeed, they formed a key part of our campaign, that the energy sector was in a mess. The sector was burdened with excessive debt that was basically strangling the life out of the sector. IPPs were owed in excess of $2.5 billion. Several other players in the sector were owed. There were problems with the purchase of fuel to fire thermal plants. There were issues with efficiency in the delivery of some energy sector utilities, and therefore action needed to be taken. Now, the most pressing concern related to some maintenance that the West African gas pipeline needed to carry out on its pipeline. This was to have been done in October last year. The government of the day asked that they defer it to the first quarter of this year. That is January 20th. In fact, that would have been yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Now, West African gas pipeline obliged, but the assurance was that those 4 months will be used to purchase adequate fuel to ensure that by the time that the pipelines were shut down, we would have alternative source of fuel to power our thermal plants. During the transition, it came to our attention. We sought assurances, and we were given every assurance that everything had been done to ensure that we don't go into that difficulty with power. Only for us to take over the reins of power, and on the first day, discover that we do not have fuel to fire the thermal plants. The West African Gas Pipeline Company was also ready to carry out their maintenance, and it required. You recall that the very first day that President Mahama took office, we had to call an emergency meeting at 10 a.m. to discuss the matter. And following from that, a technical team was set up to resolve. As I speak to you, I can tell you that adequate supplies of fuel have been purchased. Some have already been delivered, others are on their way. And thankfully, we managed to secure a deal with WAPCO to further defer the maintenance work on the pipeline to February. We are confident that that period will give us enough time to make the necessary arrangements. And we are determined to ensure that we do not inflict any power outages.
So you say you've secured fuel?
Yeah, some of it has arrived.
Some of it has arrived?
Some on its way.
Because West Africa Gas Pipeline is postponed for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. So that would be February 3rd. February 3rd, yes.
February 3rd. So
yes.
Would we have adequate fuel?
Yes. Everything indicates that we'll have adequate fuel. Some of it has arrived already.
Earlier, there were concerns that you needed 4 weeks to have these.
That is true, but we had to bridge that time because of the urgency of the situation. So we had to bend over.
What about the treatment? Because the
arrangements as some of
energy designated was concerned about treatment. Yes,
that treatment takes about 2 weeks. So all of that was factored into the arrangements that have been